Most of the things that I guess other people might see as failure, I don't see as failure. What's a failure? A video didn't do well? Like I choked on a hair while I was talking? And I guess a lot of the things that most people would see as failure, I don't see as failure. I don't even see it as feedback. It just was, and now we're moving on. I don't look backwards, right? It's like, okay, whatever, that's done, cool, let's go. Forward. Oh, you have feedback for me? Cool. I filmed without the microphone. Was that a failure? I see it as a win. I don't think I take big enough risks to ever have a real failure. Like if I mortgaged my house to make this day like insane, and Danny says, hey, to make this thing fly, we need Val Kilmer riding on an elephant, like crashing through the front door. And then that had to work, or I lost my house. That's a failure to me. So everything else is all manageable. I think it's a strength and a weakness. It limits how much upside I have, but this also means there's zero downside.
Need motivation?
Watch a top 10 with Believe Nation.
Hey, it's Evan Carmichael, and I make these videos because in my first business, I quit on my business partner. I struggled to keep going. I was making $300 a month and felt like a complete failure. And the thing that saved me, that pulled me up, was studying the stories of famous entrepreneurs. I got the motivation from them. I also got the strategies of what to do next so that I can go off and achieve my dreams. And quite honestly, I still need the stories today myself to continue my motivation to take it to the next level. So today you get to learn from me and my team's take on my top 10 rules for success. Enjoy. Rule number 2 is change your environment.
The fastest way to change your habits is to change your environment. You ever notice how when you're in a different environment, maybe you go on vacation, maybe you go to an event or seminar, you start doing different things? You are still you, and you do some of the things that you used to do, but all of a sudden you're doing new things that become a part of your regular routine. You ever been away for a couple weeks and discover that you built up some new habits, and maybe some are healthy, maybe some are unhealthy. But if you've ever been away and you notice that you've picked up some new habits, why? Well, it's because the environment demanded it, because everybody else was doing it, because it was so easy, natural, comfortable to do that, that's why you do it too. And so if you want to be able to switch your habits quickly, you change your environments. Now, you may not always be able to go on vacation or go to events or seminars, so those are options. But it starts with you figuring out, well, what are the habits that you want to develop? Who are the people that you want to be around? And when you are around those people, you will start to think differently, which will lead to you behaving differently. When you see other people doing it, you're going to want to do it more. When it's in your environment more, you're going to want to do it more too.
Rule number 3 is chase fulfillment.
You don't know what the final product is you're trying to get, because if it's an internal fulfillment, if it's a feeling, you can't quantify that. And if you can't quantify it, you can't reverse engineer it. So my mind is wired numbers, but like my heart is going more towards the helping and serving, but you can't map that out to break down steps. So it's like a dichotomy.
I hear you, but you kind of can, in that the feeling of fulfillment that you're chasing. How many times when you've been in a room with a lot of people or just with one person that you've helped, do you leave feeling more fulfilled?
Often.
So that's how you quantify it. Put you in a room with somebody who needs help, and you'll 80% of the time come out with more fulfillment. That's what I said, like that's the missing piece, is you're not feeling the connection. You're all push, 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 and no hug. It's like you need the feeling, because, okay, I had 1,000 Instagram followers, now 2,000 or whatever it is. Like it doesn't mean enough, because it's a momentary, you cross that number, but there's no heart. The heart is when you're talking, and you're actually very good at it. You say you're not just all mine, you're great at connecting to people and helping them. You do it naturally. More than anybody on my whole tour. We did it in every city. I went across America. You were like the only guy who didn't talk about himself and like used his time to help the other people. So you're naturally great at it. You're just not putting yourself in the position to do it. And so you can XO quantify it. If you were to, twice a week, do something with somebody else who needs help, 80% of the time, you're going to come out feeling more fulfilled. Like, I'm kick-ass at what I do. I'm so happy that I had that conversation with that person. Because you're actually good at it. And it's like, if you sucked at it, then that might be 25%. But you're actually really good at it. Mm. So 80, 90% of the time, you're going to come out feeling more fulfilled, which then gives you the courage and the motivation to then stay consistent. Because you're all push, but there's no consistency. When you can match the push and the hug, then you'll stay consistent because you feel that it's fulfilling. If you're not fulfilled, you won't stay consistent. It's just little thing to chase. Like, oh, I'm going to start and stop and start and stop, right? But if you actually felt fulfilled in the work, like this is meaningful, this was really cool, I want to do it again, you'll stay more consistent on all the work.
Rule number 4 is step out of your comfort zone.
To change your life, you have to be willing to change your actions. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over again and expecting a different result. If you want to change your life, you want to be in a different spot, you have to be doing different things. Now, if you love your life, great, don't change anything. Or you love pieces of your life, don't change anything about those pieces. But if you are not happy with where you are at, you must be willing to do different things. Otherwise, you will stay stuck forever. I was doing an Instagram live yesterday with a young entrepreneur. He wants to be a speaker and he wants to share his message, and he's constantly facing self-doubt and fear and insecurity, and nobody's watching the stories, and he's not good enough, and who am I to share a message? And in our IG live, one of the things he said was, well, I'm not comfortable doing that. We're talking about making content. Some days he's on top of the world and it feels great, and other days he's not, and he doesn't feel comfortable getting in front of the camera. And he started going off and telling me a story. Like, stop right there. When you say, I'm not comfortable doing that, we have to identify that as a trigger to go. Saying, I'm not comfortable doing that. Now, if it's against your values, I get it, right? You're not comfortable. You know, I'm at Costco right now. Nina's going shopping in there. I'm not comfortable robbing Costco. Perfect, okay? That's outside my value system. That's totally different. Most of the things that you're not comfortable doing are failing in front of other people. At the end of the day, that's what it is. You're afraid of being judged. And so we're not comfortable doing that thing. You'll fail if nobody else sees it, if it's just you, but you don't want to fail in front of other people. And that can no longer be a good enough reason. Because if you only do, think about this, if you only do what's comfortable, you stay in your comfort zone. If you only do what's comfortable, you stay in your comfort zone. And therefore, you hate your life. Because if all you did was wake up and do what's in your comfort zone, do what is known, do what is comfortable, do what you've always done, you're going to hate your life. And this becomes the curse of a lot of entrepreneurs, is you know you're capable of more, you know you want to do more, you know you have more in your heart to go off and serve. You want that. You can see it, you can touch it, you can taste it, you can visualize. It's like, I want to be there. I want to do that, right? Has that happened to you? Can that relate to you? You know you want more, but you're afraid to go off and do it, and you fall back down to comfort. At least consistently. You might have these moments of greatness and boldness and willingness to go do something, but we fall back down to comfort. And if you stay in comfort, you will never accomplish your great goals, because everything you want out of life is on the other side of your comfort zone. Everything you want out of life. All your big goals, your big dreams, your big ambitions, your mission, the life that you want is on the other side of your comfort zone.
Also, to make sure you're actually taking action after watching this video, I've designed a special free worksheet just for this video. The worksheet will highlight all of the lessons learned in this video, as well as pull out our 3 favorite learnings and quotes that will inspire you to actually do something. The worksheet will also give you space to write down what your key takeaways are and your specific plan of action to make sure you're getting results. If you want the worksheet designed specifically for this video, absolutely for free, there's a link in the description below. Go click on it and start building the momentum in your life and your business. I'll see you there.
Rule number 5 is learn new things.
Was it hard for you to dig inside and say, I'm going to work on Evan?
I love taking on new things. Like, you have a different modality that you want to, nobody's models ever quite fit me. So it's cool, but I'm happy to try on the next model. You guys, you have your 8-step personality test? Cool, I'm a electrifier. Awesome. You know, like, it never quite fits, but all of them are good paths. Like, I'm not locked into one modality, like it's got to be the Colby score, it's got to be the Myers-Briggs, there's got to be the whatever, but they all teach you a little bit about yourself. Even down to, I just had my DNA tested, and from the DNA test, they show you, hey, based on your genes, you're more susceptible to these kinds of foods and this kind of activity and all this kind of stuff. Like, okay, those are like, they're averages, so it's a good starting point. I love trying stuff. I love trying stuff for me to learn and also to demonstrate to other people that go try stuff.
Rule number 6 is stop doubting yourself.
The biggest difference between you and the people who you look up to are that they started and you're still thinking about it. It's one of the most frustrating things in helping entrepreneurs that I deal with on a day-to-day basis, is that seeing so much potential in people, seeing so much heart and love and care. It's like you could be serving so much and helping so much and having such a big impact. And we're stuck. We're stuck. And this was me too. I was stuck. It took me forever to get started. And I thought I had to have the perfect cameraman. My first video, if you go back and watch it on my channel, I had my friend come and film it and record it for me because I was worried about it not being perfect enough, that I didn't know the gear and didn't know the microphone and the lighting and the setup. And I memorized the script because I didn't want to say the wrong words. I had to be perfect. Most of my early videos were still mostly voiceover, because I could write a script and have it perfect and just have B-roll, and it wouldn't be me on camera afraid of making a mistake and saying the wrong things and messing up. And that's one of the main reasons why it took me so long to grow. You know, if you look at my journey of making, for 5 years, 7,000 subscribers, something like that, I was stuck. I was too afraid to do the next thing. I was too afraid to get in the race. I was making content, at least. That was one decent thing. For whatever reason, I stay consistent on doing stuff, but I was afraid to take the next step, the big step, to go off and do it. And a lot of you are already way better than I was when I started. And when I'm on interviews and I'm doing events and presentations, and I see the audience and I see who's there and I see the skill and the heart, this is the thing that kills me the most. It's like the heart. It's like you've got such a good heart. You want to do so much. And then there's just no action. There's no momentum because of the fear. If you could make one change this year that would really move the needle, it would be to stop judging yourself for the content that you're making or the product you're putting out or the service, and just expect it to suck and keep going.
Rule number 7 is help others.
How does a person, for lack of better terms, a broken person, get over that to be able to help other people that might be when they themselves haven't healed yet?
For me, serving is part of the healing process. So for me to heal and get better, I need to be helping others, right? So you saw me on that tour. Pittsburgh was, if it wasn't our first stop, it was one of our first stops. It was number one, first stop. And then we went to Cleveland, the last stop. And you saw the difference in me. Cleveland, I had a broken neck. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you stuck away to the end like that. Mm-hmm. I was on the floor for 45 minutes just at the end because like I was gone. I gave everything. But we had a real decision when I had broken my neck. Like, do I keep going or go home? And everybody was saying go home. Like, it's crazy. You go home. Everybody would understand if you go home because you broke your neck, you had a concussion, all this. But for me, I would get more healing by being with people and helping them than me being on the couch at home just healing or feeling sorry for myself or whatever. And I had all sorts of, I was gaining lots of weight because I wasn't moving around. I had like this giant scab on my forehead. I wasn't thinking as clearly as I normally would be. The events were worse, right? I didn't have the same energy. You saw me at the end in Cleveland, but I still didn't have as much energy there as I did in Pittsburgh when I first started because I wasn't moving around. I'm sitting there for 4 hours with ice packs on me. Mm-hmm. But that became part of my healing process. So for me, I actually healed more by being with people and sitting with them and helping them than by me being by myself. I haven't gone through any serious depression. I haven't wanted to commit suicide and some of the things that you've talked about. But one of my favorite expressions, I forget who said it, was like, don't suffer alone. Like when you're alone, when you're suffering, just don't be alone. Reach out to somebody, have a community, have a group, have a friend. So you're not by yourself because you can do stupid things when you're by yourself when you're really in really dark places. And you pulled yourself off the edge, in there, which is amazing, but a lot of people don't. You're never fully healed, I don't think, but you gain more healing as you continue to help people. At least that's what I tell myself and what I find works for me.
Rule number 8 is take on challenges.
Your challenges don't only make you stronger, they allow you to serve better. I think the default
answer for a lot of people is that your challenges make you stronger. Your challenges will, you know, to grow muscle, you have to break your muscle first. And all of these obstacles that they put in your way allow you to have a better life. They're making you stronger. They're making you more powerful. And that's all true, yes. And the thing that helps me the most is just tying it back to service, because I think, you know, humans are built to serve. You are built to serve. When you can connect the challenge that you're going through as something that's then going to inspire and help other people, at least for me, it always gives me a lot more strength and a lot more courage to do the thing that I need to do, as opposed to it just being about me getting stronger. I find a lot of times me getting stronger is not enough. It's not enough of a reason compared to it's going to help somebody else as well. So, you know, if that's you, hope this video helps you as well. So I think about when I was doing my tour 2019 and I broke my neck, it was one of the most challenging times in my life, in that it's already hard enough. I'm already, you know, on the road. We're quarter of the year on the road, 90 straight days, me, Nina, my cameraman, Danny. And there were a lot of challenges in making that whole tour happen, and new city every 4 days, and all of the stuff that goes into, you know, it was my first ever tour. And then I broke my neck 2/3 of the way through. So as if things weren't hard enough, now I break my neck. I can't drive anymore. I'm in insane amounts of pain. I have a concussion, and I'm still making videos. I struggled with the decision. This is a real decision. Do I quit the tour or not? Do I quit the tour? Do I go home? There's still another month on the road. It's not just me, it's also Nina, who has to do a lot more work now. She's got to drive this giant Suburban across the country. Danny, the camera guy, has to do a lot more work. You know, it's a lot of stress. I'm basically out of commission, and all I could do was talk, which is great for speaking, but sucks for everything else. So what do? The thing that made me want to at least try to keep going, I didn't know that I would go for another month, but I thought, let's just do the next city. Let's just do the next city. Let's go to Kansas City. Kansas City was the next stop. Let's go to Kansas City and see what happens. What got me through it was thinking about somebody in the audience, thinking about one of you guys who was struggling with something physically. Up until that point, I dealt with a lot of mental issues, mindset issues, things like believing you're not good enough, lack of self-worth, you don't have a message to share, imposter syndrome, all of those things, right? Even here, we're filming, we're about to go through a car wash. We're next, so we're probably gonna get some crazy noise. I have to talk loud. I used to be so worried about that stuff that I wouldn't film. Like, oh, I can't film going to a car wash, you know, the noise, whatever. Now I look at it as opportunities. Like, let's go. Like, that's not a good enough reason. Maybe the video quality sucks. I hope not. Maybe you can't hear me loud enough. I hope not. But not letting those things get in your way, because that stuff happens all the time.
Rule number 9 is do things that scare you.
I remember I was at a video event, and there were these two brothers who were speaking together.
Okay.
Who were friends of mine. And one of them was seasoned and had like done tons of events and presentations. And the other guy was his very first time ever doing a presentation. And they're on the main stage. They got like 1,000 people plus in the room, and he's like freaking out. His brother may not have been making it better. He's like, yeah, this is easy. And he's like, it's easy for you. I'm struggling.
Yeah.
And I told him, dude, just go out and actually say that you're nervous. Mm-hmm. Like, just get on stage and just say, I'm nervous. Like, this is my first time ever speaking, and I'm really nervous to be here. Because it makes you a lot more relatable.
Yes. Yeah.
And so he said that, and some people clapped him up, for even admitting that. And then at the end, he got so much love from people. It was like, that was amazing. I can't believe that was your first time ever doing it. And by him admitting it, it relieved the pressure of having to be perfect, right? It's actually more of an inspiration that you're willing to get up there and risk failing than if it was super easy for you to go off and do. The reason why I did my tour, because I was really afraid to do speaking.
Yes.
I said, okay, I'm gonna do the thing I'm most terrified about, and I'm gonna go speak every 4 days. I'm gonna host my own workshop and speak every 4 days, and who knows if people are gonna show up.
And rule number 10, the last one before some very special bonus clips, is take immediate action.
The first question that came in on the poll was, how can we focus on one thing with too much information? So at the beginning of anything, it always can feel overwhelming, right? If you're thinking about, I want to start on YouTube, I want to start on social media, I want to start writing my book, I want to start like whatever new project you want to start, it always feels overwhelming. It always feels like it's too big. It always feels like you don't have enough information. You can't wrap your head around what's going on. And so what I like to do is just trying to figure out, where are the boundaries? Like, what is it that I actually need to learn? And at the beginning, I get super frustrated of any project, just trying to figure out where are the gates. Because I love optimizing, I love efficiency, I love making things as tight as possible. But at the beginning, creativity is messy and you can't prematurely optimize something. We try to optimize too soon when you don't know the boundaries, you end up not being able to make any progress. So at the beginning of any project, I will take some time, sit in my frustration, and just basically try to figure out where the gates are around it. So what's the most recent one? I think figuring out AdWords and advertising has been one of those things for me, in figuring out, okay, what ads do I run? How do I put them up? What are the placements? What's the conversions? The demographics, all of the things that seem overwhelming at the beginning. And it's frustrating to know which ads to serve to which audiences, and just testing until I kind of get a sense of, okay, this is where the gates are, and then make it efficient and squish it down and optimize it. So at the beginning, for me, it's just research, right? Research, playing, testing, don't get so overwhelmed by the big picture that you don't take any action, right? Like, what's the smallest possible thing you can just do to start gaining momentum? And then that first step seems impossible, but when you go back, it's like, oh, I did that first step. That's pretty cool. Anyway, so I hope that makes sense, right? It's taking that big idea that seems overwhelming, that seems impossible, and then finding one step that you can do today. Because as long as you have it as some big dream in your head that is impossible, then you never take any action on it. And then, it's a year later and you still haven't done the thing yet because it still seems too impossible. And I see it all the time with entrepreneurs who are getting started. People ask you, how do I get started on YouTube? How do I get started as an author? How do I get started as a speaker? And you think you've got to have this perfect plan and the perfect gear and all of this perfect stuff. And then it's a year later and you still haven't done the thing. Immediate action, momentum.
The key to experimenting is expecting to suck. Just expect to suck. Expect it not to work out. Expect it to be a total disaster. Expect to suck, which gives yourself the permission to go and try. We're holding ourselves back from trying because you may not expect to be great, but you expect to be pretty good. I think this is the problem for a lot of entrepreneurs is you have an idea, you have a dream. You don't think you're going to be the next Jeff Bezos. Maybe yes, but maybe no. You're going to make your own YouTube channel. You're not going to be great on camera, but you expect to be pretty good. You don't expect to be Bezos, but you expect to be pretty good in your business. And then what ends up happening is you start and you realize, oh my gosh, I'm not only not Bezos level, I'm terrible. I see it all the time with people who are starting their YouTube channels. They don't expect to be terrible on camera. They don't expect to be whoever you think is a great on-camera personality, and then they record themselves, and if they thought they'd be like an 8 out of 10, they don't expect to be 10, they think they'd be 8, and then they watch it back like, oh my gosh, I'm a 2 out of 10, and then they stop, and they never release the video, they never try the next thing because they're convinced that they just suck, that they suck as a human, and that they'll never get the skills. Well, how do you get the skills? By practicing, by doing. Just because you're a 2 out of 10 now doesn't mean that you can't become an 8 or a 9 or a 10. How do you get there? How do you go from a 2 to an 8 or 9 or 10 at the thing that you want to be great at? By practicing, by learning, by doing, not just by researching and studying and watching other people. You have to get into the trenches and start to create and start to make. That's how you move. But people are too afraid to fail that they don't even try. You're so afraid to fail that you don't even try. And the way through it is expecting to suck. I am right now learning about NFTs. And now I know enough to be dangerous about NFTs. But 2 months ago, I didn't. I knew nothing. I didn't know what it stood for. Non-fungible. I didn't even know what a fungible token, nothing made sense. I didn't understand what WAGMI meant. I didn't understand what LFG meant. I didn't understand what HODL meant. I didn't know the difference between Bitcoin or Ethereum. I didn't know what a MetaMask wallet was. All of this stuff, zero idea. And the more I just looked at it from the outside, the more I got stressed out, confused, overwhelmed. I don't understand any of this stuff. I feel like a total beginner. And so I'm not going to learn it. And I want to be the person who jumps on things, who learns things, who doesn't accept scary, difficult, or hard as good enough reasons for me not to do it. So I dove in and I asked all of those stupid questions. And I learned not just by reading about it, but by launching my own NFT projects and putting it out there and starting to work with people. I went into the different Discords and Twitter. I didn't even know what Discord was. I wasn't using Discord. NFT land is Discord and Twitter. I had to install Discord and get active on it. I had to reignite my Twitter account. Like, you guys use Twitter? I haven't used Twitter for years, but Twitter is where the game is at. So I'm picking up my Twitter game again. And I'm asking what seems to be stupid questions. I'm asking all the beginner questions. And I'm launching my own NFT project to learn, to understand. And now I know enough to be dangerous. I'm not an expert at it, but I know enough to be dangerous. And that happened in a relatively short amount of time because I was willing to experiment and I was willing to expect to suck at the beginning. I'm going to go in, be a total noob, right? Total newbie, total beginner, ask the questions, and then I'm going to learn through that process and get better at it. You can surprise yourself with how much you can learn. You can surprise yourself with how much you can learn at the beginning if you're just willing to detach yourself. That just because you suck at a skill doesn't mean that you suck as a human. This is where we get stuck. It's like, oh, I suck at that, therefore I suck, and I'm never going to get better, so I'm going to stop and go do something else that makes me feel good. Instead, say, no, I suck at this skill, and I feel good for trying, and I'm going to keep getting better at this so that I can improve my skill from a 2 to a 2.5 to a 3 to a 5 to an 8 to a 10. Right? So how do we start to do it? How do we start to give ourselves more permission to experiment, give ourselves permission to fail, give ourselves permission to suck? How do we do it? Step number 1, trust your ideas. Trust that the ideas that come to you are good. Trust that idea that you're thinking about right now is good. Just do a quick gut check. Are you trying to rip people off, or are you trying to serve and try to help? Are you trying to just take their money, put it in your bank account and go buy your boat? Or are you trying to actually do some good, right? If you're watching this channel, hopefully you're in the second category. You're trying to serve, you're trying to help, you're trying to create something of value. So if that is your intention, then trust your ideas. Stop holding yourself back. Stop saying that you can't do it. Stop finding all the reasons in your head that you cannot take action, because your heroes have done more with less than what you already have right now. Whoever your heroes are, whoever you look up to, Jeff Bezos, whoever, Oprah Winfrey, whoever, they started with less than what you have right now. They could do it. You can do it too. You can. So if the idea is a good one, it feels right, it's heart-centric, you want to serve, you want to bring value to people, then trust that idea. Trust it. Step number 2, immediate action. Immediate action. The problem is we get stuck in overthinking, over-planning, over-preparing, over-strategizing, over-asking other people, well, what do you think I should do? Stop that. Immediate action. What's the first thing that you can do? If you want to get into NFTs, go join somebody's Discord. Go launch your own single NFT. You're going to make tons of mistakes. Perfect. Launch it. You want to launch a podcast? Great. Start your podcast today. You want to create a YouTube channel? Awesome. Pull out your phone, record your video. You're a YouTuber now, right? You want to launch a fashion business? Perfect. Create a logo, make a t-shirt. Like, just start. It doesn't have to be anything great. Just start. The biggest thing for most people that's missing is just momentum. It's all of these things stuck in your head and not enough being created in the world. And to get all this organized and structured and actually making sense, you have to actually put something out. So trust your ideas, that they're good, that they're of value, that they will serve. And then step number 2 is do something about it. Immediate, in the moment action. Let's go. Right? Stop overthinking it, and today something has to happen. And then step number 3 is just expect to suck. Expect to suck. Expect it not to work out. Expect not to make money on this. Expect no comments, no replies, no feedback. Expect to just fail. Expect it to be a total failure. If you expect that going in, then you're not surprised when it doesn't work out. And you're not taking it personally that you tried this thing and nobody cares about it right now. You're lowering the burden for what has to happen for you to feel good about yourself. If you only feel good when you win, then you will never try. Right? If you will only take a yes and enter that competition, enter that race, or do that thing, if you know that you're going to win, you will never try. you will stay stuck doing the easy stuff for the rest of your life and never accomplish what you're capable of, never hit anywhere close to your potential. So you have to expect it just to suck. And again, by it sucking, by getting a sucky result, it actually means that you're amazing. It doesn't mean that you suck as a human. You only suck as a human is if you don't try. Start to reward yourself for trying. Start to reward yourself for the effort. Start to reward yourself for doing the things that are outside your comfort zone, that are scary for you. Scary, difficult, hard, right? You think of that, you're doing it. And then you reward yourself. Say, oh, man, I did that. I can't believe I did that. It was crazy. Even though it didn't work out. Because you know that if you kept trying and kept learning and kept improving, that it, of course, is going to work out. You just have to show up with that level of energy and enthusiasm and intent every day. The difference between where you are right now and where you want to be is how many experiments you're putting out there, how many ideas that you've got that you're trying, because you will not be rewarded for the ideas that stay stuck in your head. And more importantly, you don't want to get to the end of your life and look back and say, I had all these ideas, but I was too afraid of failing that I never tried any of them. Wayne Dyer says, don't let that song die within you. You got to play the song while you're alive. You've got a great song in you. Let's get it out to the world.
YouTube has the best data platform of all the social media networks. And I love the data and I can geek out on it all day long and dive into it. It's overwhelming for a lot of people. The only thing you have to care about is this, the audience retention curve. Like, write that down. If you don't know what I'm talking about and you think you might at someday want to start a YouTube channel, come back to that, write it down. It is your golden ticket, the audience retention curve. What that does is show you second by second where people are either falling off your video or sticking around. Second by second. So if your intros are really bad, it'll show you lost half your audience in the first 20 seconds. Cool. Like, let's not do that again. And it'll show you these little flat moments. And a flat moment means you never lost anybody. Like, whatever you did in that moment was really good, right? You held their attention that whole time. Think of it like if you ever watch those elections and the election debates, and there's like the red and the blue in America, right? And you like, who are you liking more? And they've got these people in the audience who are kind of neutral people or supposedly neutral. And they're like, they're as the person's talking, you see the blue line go up or the red line go up. It's kind of like that on your videos. And it's completely free. You don't have to pay for any service or anything else. It's built into YouTube natively in their analytics. So when it's a flat line, when it's a down line, then, okay, that sucks. We need to fix that. Don't do that again.
But a flat moment is good.
Flat moment is good. That means you've kept their attention. So if you have a flat moment that's 40 seconds long, cool. What happened there? Let's turn that into a tweet. Let's turn that into an Instagram reel. Let's turn that into something else. And then you have these rare moments, these special moments where it goes up. Well, how does it go up? Like, we lost people. We understand why it goes down, but how do we gain people in the middle of the video? It doesn't make sense.
Right. Because most people drop off like in the first few seconds or whatever minutes is the big fall off, but then it doesn't just go down. There's these spikes.
Yeah. So why does it spike? Like, how does that make sense? Did new people join the video halfway through?
Right.
Usually not. Usually what the case is the people who are currently watching rewound that video to watch that part again. It's like, wait, what did Rory just say? What was that thing again? And they rewind it to watch that part again. That's your gold. And that may be 20 minutes inside of your video. But that's what we cut. And one, we want to make more content like that. Like, that can educate you to make better content. But then that's what we cut. So the flat moments or the spikes, that's what we cut to take to our other social media accounts because we know that that's popping. And a lot of people who are making content, whether they're doing it themselves or they have team, there's a lot of subjective decisions that go in. Like, well, I like that part and I like this moment and I think we should do here. And there's a lot of wasted time, to be honest, and going back and reviewing and watching the footage again and then relying on one person's subjective opinion to make the call on what goes to their platforms to make your diamond. The data will show you. It's a lot easier. Just look at where we help people on the video and let's take that to our other platforms. Well, to get great at anything, you have to be consistent. Anything, any skill that you want to develop, you have to be consistent on. At the beginning of a journey, it's okay to experiment and taste and test and try and do a bunch of things. You know, I made my first video and I wasn't like the next day making another video and the next day making another video, or I wasn't consistent at the beginning. And my growth reflected it. You know, in year one, I post on my website where I'm at with subscriber count year by year by year. And year one is like 25 subscribers. And by year 5, in my 5th year, I'm still at 700 something subscribers. It's not like I took off and was blowing up right away. A lot of it was me sucking and not having a skill, but a lot of it was just lack of consistency as well, and that I wasn't doing it every day. There's a reason why, you know, from all the people I've studied, the number one rule for success that they have is you have to love what you do. Not just the end result of the thing that you're doing, but you have to love the actual thing that you're doing. It just takes so much effort and so much time to get world class at the thing that if you don't love it, you're going to quit. You kind of have to be crazy doing it because you just love it so much, where most people would quit. That's how you end up winning. And so finding the thing that you love to do that you can stay consistent on so that it doesn't feel like work is the thing that ends up getting you through it. Like if you're hosting a podcast show like this and you don't like interviewing people, do something else. Don't do it because podcasting is a hot trend. Go do something else that you really love to do. We've made over 13,000 videos now in 13 years. I've made videos through tragedy and trauma and a broken neck, and videos still went up. Why? Because I love what I'm doing. And that's how I wasn't burning out. And if I stop liking making videos, then I'll move on to something else. So the consistency really matters, but it's a lot easier to stay consistent on the thing that you actually love doing.
A lot of people don't believe that I'm an introvert and that I'm shy because of the work that I do. And it's, I struggled a lot with it, Eric. Like if you look at the growth of my YouTube channel at the beginning, it was so slow, mostly because I thought, hey, if you're going to talk about yourself, you have to have a huge ego and you have to be a blabbermouth, and just, it wasn't me. It's not how I wanted to win. And then I realized, well, I still want to serve. Like, I still want to help. How do I help? And once I could marry, if I share my story that actually can serve people, then it got me more and more comfortable. And I would never have said yes to this. Like, what? Why does he want to talk to me? It's crazy. No, I'm not coming on Eric's show just because I would be nothing about you. More, I'm just too afraid and too nervous and too shy. And like, I don't want to talk to people. I do a lot of my best creative work, you know, when I'm by myself. I actually have no need to, as long as I have my wife, I'm pretty good. You know, like I don't really have a huge connection need, but I want to serve and I want to feel like what I'm doing matters and is important. So I can get really excited about a few things, right? Like if we're talking about impact and entrepreneurship, or if you want to dive into salsa dancing or League of Legends, I can get pretty excited. But anything else, you know, I no interest. Small talk, you know, how about that local hockey team or weather? Like it just is not interesting to me. And I think that's one of the things with introverts is we want to have meaningful conversations. We're actually okay to have conversations, but we're better in small groups or one-on-ones, and we want to have meaningful conversations, and we hate the small talk and what do you do? And just the small talk is just not fun. I remember I was on a flight. I was going from Toronto to Puerto Rico. I was speaking at Brendan Burchard's event in Puerto Rico for his high-end mastermind group. And there was a guy next to me, and he was trying to start up all these conversations that like just I don't enjoy it. But I remembered everything about him. I remembered, you know, the backpack that he had, and that he wanted a coffee once we got into the air, and he wanted a black, and you know, I remembered all the things about him. But I don't like the small talk conversation. And then we got there, and I took the cab and got to the hotel, and then in behind me walks the same guy. He was going to the same event in Puerto Rico. And as soon as I saw him there, I was like, oh, dude, you're an entrepreneur? Like, what do you do? As soon as I got into, service and entrepreneurship, then instantly became friends. But just small talk is not as, and maybe that's a limitation of me or something I need to work on. But the most important part of that was realizing, hey, I need to get out there because I want to serve and I want to help. And me not sharing my story is actually selfish. Like we've all been through something. And there are other people who are struggling right now with the thing that you used to struggle with. Like if you think back to who you were 10 years ago and how much you were struggling, and just a difference in mindsets and belief systems compared to who you are now, there's a lot of people who are still stuck at who you were 10 years ago. and they need help and they don't know who to go to and they can't connect to some of the big names out there, but they can connect to you because you know exactly what they've been through, and you can help that person. And just sharing your story is valuable. And in you being silent, it perpetuates the silence for others. And in you sharing it and expressing yourself to your word, it encourages other people to express themselves too. It gives them permission to express themselves too. They may not look to me and say that it's possible for them, but they can look at you, Eric, and say, well, Eric can do it. He's like me. He went through the same things as I did. If he can do it, then maybe I can too. And you sharing your story and expressing yourself gives them permission to take the step and start on their journey as well, which is the greatest thing of all time. So even though, we're introverts, you still want to help, still want to serve, still want to feel like what we do matters every day.
You are what you consistently think about. Whether you think you'll win or lose, you're right. It's a challenge I think a lot of us face. We are stuck in our head, in our mind, telling ourselves why we can't do something, why we're not good enough. We're born in the wrong country. We have the wrong skin color. We're the wrong gender. We have the wrong family. We have the wrong education. And we just keep replaying these same stories over and over and over and over and over again. And you don't win because you believe that you can't win. That's what the great rewiring has to take place inside all of us, because that's why I think that lack of belief is the world's number one problem. I'm on a mission to solve the world's number one problem. People do not believe in themselves to create amazing things. I think everybody has Michael Jordan level genius at something. That you are the greatest in the world at something. And it's probably not what you went to school for, and it's probably not what your parents did for a living. It's something totally different. And a challenge in being able to go and chase down something that's totally different is the belief that it's possible. Because when you are around people who are not living their life, who are complaining, who are negative, who may not be toxic, but who are stuck, people who are stuck, the easiest thing to do is to get stuck yourself and to have the thought patterns that keep you stuck. This is why I create all my channels, because I need it for me, because I want to be around people who challenge me, who, when I see what they're doing, it forces me to think different, to think bigger, to want to do more, to want to be a better Evan Carmichael, whatever that means, right? To just feel like I want to grow and do more because I'm around the people who are doing that. Where if you stay stuck with the people that you're in right now, you stay stuck in the environment that you're participating in right now, then you will likely stay there and not grow and not improve and not learn and not get better. Now, that doesn't mean that you stop caring. That doesn't mean that you stop giving. That doesn't mean that you stop contributing. In fact, it's the opposite. You, if you're watching this video, you're on a journey. You're on a growth curve, and you want to go here, right? You want to climb. You want to get better. You want to go over there, and there may be people who are even pulling you back, actively saying not to do that, don't do that, you can't do that. The goal isn't even necessarily to leave these people behind. The goal could be to come back and help them. But how can you help them, and how can you pour even more into them? Well, by learning more and improving yourself more. That every time that you learn something and you get better at something, you can come back and pour it into other people. That when you're taking your growth curve, you're stepping, you're climbing, you're improving, you're getting better, every step that you take, if you move to step number 4, you can help other people get to step number 3. You can reach back and help them climb up another step. So it doesn't mean that you stop being optimistic and positive and helpful for the people around you. That's your light. That's your gift. That's what you are so amazing at. But it does mean that you need to inject newness into your environment, because your environment is crafting your thoughts, and your thoughts are keeping you stuck. You might have these moments where you feel bold and brave and you can do something else, but those aren't consistent. And because the boldness in thought is not consistent, the boldness in action is not consistent. And so you stay stuck doing the same thing, knowing that you're capable of more, but not doing the thing. And this is a game for everybody. This is for myself. This is for you. This is for the people who are ahead of you on their growth curve. You never want to stop. There's always a new level of self-talk and self-belief to get you to the next thing that's possible. So it's why I do what I do, because I need it for me. I need to be around people who inspire me every day so that I can continue to organize for kindness, right? Martin Luther King had a great quote about organizing for kindness, that people organize for negativity. They'll organize
looting and the organized violence and the organized wars and the organized negativity. Well, who's organizing for kindness, right? That's what we need to do. But you need to have the inspired environment to create the inspired thoughts to allow the inspired action to come out. So you can organize for kindness too. So let's break down, how do you actually start doing it? How do you actually start to change that self-talk to be a more positive one so that you can actually follow through on the great ideas that you have for yourself? Step number 1 is to be around your heroes. Who are your heroes who have done the thing that you love doing? Either the actual work itself, like they're in your industry and they have done the thing. If you know my story, I looked up to Bill Gates. He had a software company. I had a software company. I learned from him to build my company. I haven't met him but his strategy saved my company. And then I also learned from someone like Oprah Winfrey or Kanye West, or people who are not in my industry, but I just like for some reason. I'm going to go and learn from them. So who are your heroes? Either in your industry or people that you just look up to for some reason, and force yourself to spend more time with them. Be around them more. Put their pictures up on the wall behind you. My favorite entrepreneur of all time is A.P. Giannini, who started Bank of America. Put their pictures on the wall behind you. Subscribe to their YouTube channels if they have it. Follow them on social media, read their books, listen to their podcasts, like have them be in your environment as much as possible, because they will transport you to another world. They will help you change that self-talk in your head, because the people who have done the thing that you want to do, your heroes, the people you look up to, likely have done it with less than what you have right now. The resources that you have right now, the heart that you have right now, the mental capacity that you have right now, the tools at your disposal. You have the internet. You've got a lot of tools at your disposal. You've got a lot of technology at your disposal that your heroes didn't have as much access to, if any, and they went off and won. So yes, it might be difficult, but if they can do it, you can do it too. The question is, who are you going to listen to? The voice that says it's too hard, I'm never going to do it, or the voice that says, well, if they can do it, I can do it too. So you have to be around. You want to change that self-talk, you have to be around your mentors, your heroes, because they will pull you to a different place. Step number 2 is to create a calendar that has your habits in there. Your goals that you've set for yourself needs to be reflected in the habits, because goals don't accomplish themselves. Goals will happen when you put time in your calendar to go and make it happen. I'm making this video because it's in my calendar, this block of time right now, to go make videos, right? What do you need to put in your calendar so that it's not just a hope, a dream, a goal, but it actually becomes something that's in reality? And then to start to teach yourself that you do the things that are in your calendar. You want to start to change your self-belief, your self-talk, that voice inside your head. You have to teach yourself that you follow through on the things that you say you're going to do. Have fewer goals. Have fewer things that you write down in your calendar. But when they're in there, they get done. Because here's what happens. Every time you set a goal, every time you put something in your calendar and you don't do it, you're training yourself that the next time you put something in your calendar, that's not going to get done too. You're losing credibility with yourself. Not even somebody else saying you can't do it. It's you, your own voice saying you can't do it because you haven't done the last thing that you said you were going to do or the thing before that. So the way to start to rewire that is to, when you put something in your calendar, it's going to get done. To even lower the barrier, lower the standard for what has to get done for you to get the check mark that you accomplished this thing. That when it gets put in your calendar, you are going to be the person who actually follows through. That starts to shift identity. That starts to help you believe more in yourself, that the next thing that you add in your calendar, you're also going to get done. So how do we start to change that self-talk, right? That criticism or compassionate voice in our head. How do we shift towards belief? 1, be around our mentors and our heroes, the people who inspire us to do it. 2, create a calendar that reflects our goals. Our actions have to map to our ambitions, right? Has to be in your calendar, and teach yourself that you do the things that are in your calendar. And step number 3 would be to collect good people. I'm a huge fan of collecting good people. If you believe, like I believe, that your environment is keeping you stuck and keeping you where you are, okay, a shift can be to be around your heroes, but you may never meet them. Good people. When you're around the right people who fill you up as opposed to you filling others up all the time, it changes everything. You're a giver, you're caring, you've got a big heart. It's why you're part of this community. I love you for that. And keep going, keep doing it. Don't stop pouring into others. But who's pouring into you? When you walk away from a conversation, how often do you feel better about yourself? How often do you have more energy as opposed to, well, that was draining to me? You need to start to inject the people who make you feel better, who give you more energy. And you may know some of them. They may not be the closest of friends to you yet, but whenever you meet somebody, if it's at an event or a conference or a group or in the comment section or on a Discord, and they just make you feel better, fight to try to find a way to spend more time with them. The way I'll often do it is through businesses. I end up setting companies with them because I love them so much. It's a way to spend more time with them. But it can be awkward at the beginning. Like, you don't know what you're gonna do, but you be the person to reach out to say, hey, I'd love to have a coffee with you next week. Or maybe we can schedule a monthly mastermind with us and maybe a couple other people. Like, you reach out to find a way to collect good people and fight to spend more time with them. Because when you're around actual humans who are in front of you, who make you feel better about yourself and give you the energy that you're pouring into other people, it gives you more hope, more momentum, and increases the chances of you actually following through. So get into the practice of collecting good people. Lack of belief is the single biggest problem in the world. You have Michael Jordan level genius at something. You are the greatest in the world at something. It's just your belief, my belief too, in the ability to actually go and chase it down that will make the difference between the life that you have right now and the life that you know you're capable of living. Let's solve that together. This is where my perfectionist nature, used to take over and slow me down. So I could get an idea, you get these ideas, and then your brain takes over and you start researching. Like, I gotta make the perfect plan before I start. Don't want to make any mistakes, so I'm just gonna start. What I've trained myself to do is two things. One, I tell myself that great ideas flow through me. That great ideas will flow through me. Because it came through me, then it's a great idea. And what that does is kind of shortcut the brain from overanalyzing, over-preparing, and overthinking. That as long as you're in a good emotional state, right? Like if you're frustrated or pissed off or upset or jealous, maybe don't trust the ideas that come to you. Like if somebody cuts you off in line or in traffic and you want to go chase it, like maybe think on that one. But if you're in a positive place, if you're watching this episode and you feel inspired or hopeful or you want to do more, you're grateful, trust the ideas that come to you, because those ideas often don't make sense. Like your next great idea doesn't make sense because your brain tries to make sense of it, but it doesn't make sense, but your heart wants to do it. So it's listening to your heart and just trusting that great ideas flow through you. From there, to get over the perfectionism, I came up with what I call the 2% difference. So what most people do is focus on how do I plan to 100%. I'm going to start a podcast. So I need to look at Alan's setup. He's got the TVs and he's got the microphone and he's got right. And people would look at that and say, I need all that before I start. The 2% difference is if you trust that great ideas flow through you, then what's the first 2%? What's the first 2% that you can do right now just to get started? And don't expect it to be perfect. Expect it to suck. But momentum for most people is the only thing that's missing. We often use our best energy on planning. And so you come up with an idea and then you plan and you plan and you plan and plan, you strategize, and then a week goes by and then you realize you don't have the same courage and boldness that you had a week ago. And you spent all of that great energy on planning instead of doing, where the first step should be to do something. And then you start working on the plan. So if you want to work out, you got to get healthier. Cool. What's the perfect workout plan? Well, did you do HIIT? Do you do cardio? Do you hire a trainer? Do you go to the gym and lift weights? Like, what are you going to do? There's so many options. The best thing to do is just do as many push-ups as you can right now, right? You get on the floor and you do 5 push-ups, 20 push-ups, like however many you can do. Is that going to help you long-term get your result? No, it's just one day of doing a thing, but it solves the most important problem, which is momentum. Because if you do 10 push-ups today, then you can do 12 tomorrow, you can do 14 the next day, you can do 20 the next day. And then as you start to plan, maybe you realize, hey, push-ups aren't the thing. Maybe you should be doing pull-ups. Maybe you should be doing yoga. Maybe you should be, right? Like the plan always changes. Just like we talked about, the Alan from 5 years ago could not plan to where the Alan is right now. The plan will always change. But the biggest thing that's missing for most people is just momentum. So trust that great ideas flow through you and then apply the 2% difference to just get started. The only thing you're missing is momentum. This is one of the most frustrating things with entrepreneurs because you've got the heart, you've got the soul, you've got the desire to serve, you know you're capable of more, you see these people doing great things, and you say, why can't that be me? I've got everything, I've got all the tools, why am I not having more success when I see all these other people winning? Because you don't have momentum. Knowing alone is not enough. Watching this video is not enough. Researching, going to conferences, events, it's not enough. It gives us this temporary high. It's so fun to think about where we could be and what we could do when living in dream mode of the things that we want to create. That's so exciting, right? But until you start actually doing something, until you start going through that little fear zone to start actually creating, nothing happens. And this is one of the great missions of my life, is trying to get heart-centered entrepreneurs with a cause you want to serve and just getting you out of the starting gate and then just helping you stay consistent on the thing. Those two things, from idea to just doing something and then finding a way to stay consistent. If you did, that's all you're missing. If you did that, your life will be dramatically different. The people you're going to serve, the amount of income you're going to make, the life you can provide for yourself and your family, the massive just flow of goodness you're going to create for the world will be totally different. You will be a totally different person 1 year from today if you did those simple things. The only thing you're missing is momentum. The only thing you're missing is momentum. I promise you. I look at my YouTube channel and everything that we've done here, and man, it took me so long to get going. It took me so long to get out of my head. It took me so long to get comfortable making videos. No matter how much people told me, just press record and just do it. It's still that voice inside my head is like, well, I'm so awkward in front of the camera and I don't know what I'm going to say, and I'm trying to memorize my script and what camera should I buy, and all of the things that we tell ourselves are important that aren't. You know, if you look at my growth on YouTube, the first 5 years was so slow. The first 5 years was so incredibly slow because I started and stopped and started and stopped and started and stopped and convinced myself of why I couldn't do it. And my whole intent with this is to try to shake you to say, don't waste 5 years like I did. Because in the second 5 years, that's when my channel started to really blow up and grow. And that's when I started to see the impact and see the growth and see the money coming in, all of it. It started to take off because I just started creating a lot more momentum. I stopped watching my videos and reminding myself of how much I sucked and just kept going. So how do you do it? How do you start building momentum? How do you start taking the thing that you know is inside you, that you know you're capable of more, that you don't want to be stuck in the same spot 1 year from today? It's like, I need to finally make something happen, right? Is that you? Are you ready for that? How do we actually start getting the momentum in our lives? I'm going to give you 3 strategies, okay? Number 1, your morning routine has to be on point. As I said in the top of this video, successful people don't wake up and say, yes, oh my gosh, what a day. I'm going to take over. This is going to be amazing. I woke up and I was tired and I don't even remember what day it is. And I got lines in my face and I'm struggling to get out of bed, right? Everybody wakes up the same way. Don't judge yourself and feel like you suck because you woke up and you were tired and didn't feel super motivated to go off and crush your day, right? That's everybody. That's me, that's Brendan Burchard, that's Tony Robbins, that's Oprah Winfrey, everybody. The difference is the routine to set you up for success. And chances are, if you watch this video, you already have a morning routine, right? You're an achiever, you have a morning routine. So I want to take this to the next level for people with a morning routine, because your morning routine is probably not working for you. Most of the world doesn't have a morning routine. Most of the world wakes up like an accident. Most of the world wakes up, falls into their phone, and starts responding to other people's emergencies, right? That's probably not you, at least not every day. You might be 50-50, but you probably have a morning routine. What's the value of a morning routine? The value of a morning routine is to get you the feeling of bold confidence and courage. That's why you have a morning routine. It's supposed to help you go and win the day. If you don't feel confident, bold, and courage at the end of your morning routine, then you've done something wrong. Either the morning routine itself is broken and you need to add something in, or you just didn't do it with enough intent. Most achievers, here's what's happening. I want you to do a fair self-assessment and audit of your morning routine. Most achievers, what you're doing is you have your list of things that you're supposed to do in the morning, and you probably hit those maybe 70 to 80% of the time. But most of the time of those 70 to 80%, you're just checking the box. You said you're going to do this. Okay, I'm going to work out. I'm going to watch this video. I'm going to read this book. I'm going to listen to this podcast. So I'm going to whatever. But you're not intentional with it. Having this video on, I created the Espresso channel here to try to support you, to try to be there for your morning routine, to give you a shot of espresso every day to start your day. Let's go. But if you're watching this video while you're making your bed and brushing your teeth and looking over your email and browsing through social media, guess what happens? You're not getting the feeling. You could check the box to say, yep, watch the video. But if you don't feel courageous and bold, you didn't do it with enough intent. You didn't do it with enough focus. You were distracted all the way through. And so this is what happens with achievers in their morning routine is you check the box for all the things you said you were going to do, but you don't feel any better than you did when you woke up. And if you don't feel any better than you did when you woke up, you're not going to go off and win the day. So the most important part of a morning routine, whether it takes you 5 minutes or 3 hours, is getting the feeling. So do an honest self-assessment. Do you feel bold at the end of your morning routine? And if not, what do you need to add in there so that you do? Or do you need to go back and just do your morning routine with actual intention? Because if you'd started your day with the thing that made you feel bold, powerful, unstoppable, confident, your life will dramatically change 1 year from today. I promise you. So number 1 is you have to fix your morning routine. Number 2, to get more momentum. How do we get more momentum in our lives? Number 2 is to go from idea to action. Start to teach yourself that you come up with great ideas. Normally what happens when you get an idea, what happens? Normally when you get an idea, we get excited. Maybe you tell your friends about it, your family, or you're just researching and planning and brainstorming. You get excited about it. And then what happens is this little voice inside your head tells you all the reasons why you can't do it. You can't do it because of this, because of that, because you don't have the connections, or the money, the skills, or the education, the family, or whatever. There's always some reason. And so to combat that, you try to do more research and more planning and more understanding to try to have the perfect plan. And this was me, guys. I lost a $40 million deal when I was in my 20s because I was trying to be too perfect, because I was afraid. And all I really need to do is get more momentum. So you have to teach yourself to go from idea to action. When you get that idea, trust that the idea came to you for a reason. Trust that the intention is good. Is the intention good? Is the intention to serve? Is the intention to help? Yes, perfect. Action. Something today. Has to happen today. Use your best energy on creating some kind of momentum in perfect action versus trying to have the perfect plan. And then you wake up tomorrow and you've already talked yourself down and you can't do it. So number 1 is you have to fix your morning routine. Number 2 is you have to go from idea to action. And then number 3 is to change your environment. The more that you are around the people who are doing the thing that you want to do, the more that starts to seep into you too. It's why I have so many channels, because there's always content, hopefully, out there for you. You might say, yeah, but I don't know anybody, Evan, who's successful. I can't hang out with Brendan Burchard or Oprah or whoever. I don't know these people. Great. I know Brendan, but I don't know Oprah. And I didn't know Brendan when I first got started. How did I learn? From the videos, having videos around me every day, having these people on the wall behind me, even wearing this hoodie when I feel like Batman, putting it on every morning, makes a big difference to start to change your environment, to be around the people who are thinking the way that you want to think. The people around you right now are influencing you to stay where you are. Right? Think about the people who you hang out with now. That old expression of you are the average of the 5 closest people to you. Yeah. Great. So who are the 5 closest people to you? They are influencing your thinking and they're keeping you stuck where you are right now. And if you love where you are right now, great. But if you know you want to do more, then you have to start to change what starts to influence you consistently, not these one-off moments of inspiration and boldness, but consistency. That's the thing that's missing. You might have this one day that's amazing. Oh my gosh, I can do anything. And then what happens? You wake up tomorrow and all that energy is gone. It's a start and stop and start and stop and start and stop that is holding you back. So be strategic with your environment to think about, how do I start to surround myself with the people, with the videos, with the books, with the podcasts, with the physical environment that make me feel like I can do more, that you can do more. Fix those 3 things. Fix your morning routine, go from idea to action, and fix your environment. Do that, because the only thing you're missing is momentum. The only thing you have the heart, you have the care, you have the desire to serve, you have great ideas inside you. Other people are winning with inferior ideas, with less of a desire to serve than you do. And they're winning. And the only difference is they got started and they're going. The only thing you're missing is momentum. I can't wait to see you actually start to apply it to make massive change in your life and your business. I'm a visual learner. I like to be able to see stuff. So I don't listen to any podcasts. I'm on a bunch of podcasts, but audio only is the hardest way for me to learn. This is a podcast, but the fact that I can see you helps, because otherwise I'd be closing my eyes, I'd be covering my ears, because it's just the hardest way for me to learn audio only. When I started in 2009 on YouTube, it was the only video platform. So it wasn't that I knew it was going to be huge. Like, nobody had 1 million subscribers. Being a YouTuber wasn't even a thing. I was making 6-minute videos and people were telling me that it was way too long and I didn't understand how the internet worked and all of this stuff. So, I mean, it's come a long way since 2009. But it was just the only visual place at the time. And I wanted to share. So most of the stuff was either my own, what I had learned, or what I had learned from Steve Jobs or Oprah Winfrey or Kanye West or whoever, and sharing their lessons with the world, because that's what really saved my company. And I thought, 50 people watched a video, maybe that changes somebody's life. It was never designed, like, now there's a whole business model around it, right? Like, you can create entire mega corporations around it, and people are going to YouTube to learn. It's the education platform now. So it was very different when I got started. It was just, I want to tell stories, I want to help people, and I like video because it's a visual platform. If you're getting started now and you're trying to figure out where should I be, the strength of YouTube is that it's the only long form video platform around, right? So if you do a video podcast, where are you going to host it?
YouTube.
Like, you're not going to post an hour. It's YouTube, and YouTube is now the educational place that people default to.
YouTube.
So if somebody's trying to figure out how to make a big shift in their life, where are they going to go? Are they going to their library? Are they going to talk to their mom? Like, they're going to YouTube, and there's like, how do I make a shift? And there's Anthony Trucks, and it's like, I've never heard of this guy, but he's got an awesome message, right? And then that's how you start to bring on new people and build your movement up. Yeah. All of the other platforms are still great, but they lean in more on the inspirational side. So Instagram, TikTok, it's great. You have a minute to say something really fantastic, and it's just hoping to plant a seed with people, but you're not really making a shift in a minute-long video for people. And so where short form goes, there's lots of different options. There's a bunch of people tried to come up and make the YouTube killer. There's no YouTube killer out yet, but who knows? In 10 years, we're going to be doing this in VR. I'm going to be hologramming into your room. The technology will change. But right now, if you are an expert, if you're a thought leader, and that's all I focus on, right? I'm not the YouTube guy for like slime channels or makeup tutorials or whatever. It's like education, thought leadership, entrepreneurship, personal development. That's where I live. YouTube needs to be your number one home. I think everybody has a single most important core value. And when you figure out what that is, it allows you to live a more intentional life. So, like, even if you had to pick, what's your most important core value?
Oh man, integrity. It's a big one. Just being of integrity, period.
I mean that makes sense, knowing you. And so now when you're looking at, whether it's in a relationship with somebody or you're bringing on team, if you're going to bring on a new video editor for your team, what most people do is just think, do they have the skills that I need? Where for you, that's not enough. They have to be a person of integrity.
Yes, big time.
And when you're around people of integrity, it just allows everything to flow more right. Where if you had the greatest video editor of all time, but they're cutting corners in line or whatever, it's not just about the results, like how they get it really matters to you. And so it changes the intention with which you show up. So if you're going to do a job posting now for a video editor, it's like you post a video editor who believes in integrity. And that's the title. And some people will see that and say, that's the stupidest thing of all time. Who is this guy? And cool, don't apply, right? Self-eliminate, thank you. And others would be like, yes, finally, somebody's speaking my language. And so I think everybody has a single most important core value, and it's the job of finding out what that is for you. And so for me, it's believe, and that becomes the brand, and that, a brand is just an emotion. So I want people to leave everything that I make with more belief. I may not accomplish it, but it's the intention in everything that I make. And so if you could gift integrity to the world, what a great gift to be able to create.
I like it.
Yeah, so that's the
Makes
concept.
sense.
People don't show up for one of 3 reasons. Number 1 is you're afraid. You're afraid of rejection, you're afraid of failure, you're afraid of it not working out, and so you just don't show up. Number 2 is you're not consistent. You show up some days, but you don't show up other days because you don't have the routines and habits in place to make you show up consistently every single day. And number 3 is you don't want to. You don't want to show up because you don't actually enjoy the thing that you're about to do. You would rather procrastinate on it because you don't love it, and showing up is more painful than just sitting around. So my goal today with this video is to help you bust through these so that you can show up for life and have the impact that you want to have. So I think the fear of showing up is actually a good thing. It means that you are doing something different, something outside your comfort zone, something that is not normal, that is new, and that's good. You want to be pushing the envelope. If there was nothing that you were afraid to show up to today, tomorrow, next week, then you're not growing, you're not learning, you're not pushing against your boundaries and comfort zones. And so even today, I had to show up. And again, it should be every single day. So today, I was procrastinating on sending out an email to Grant, as well as a couple other people, where I'm looking at doing more collaborations, more work on my YouTube channel, more cross-pollination connection to other successful YouTubers to help the whole entrepreneur YouTube community grow, right? I want to get the message out there. I want to be playing a bigger game. And so I emailed Grant and I emailed 4 other people with a new idea that I had. So when the idea was first suggested to me about doing this and reaching out, I had a little bit of nerves, like, okay, it's gonna require an ask. I might get rejected, it may not work out. And I had it scheduled for today, because today was my YouTube day. And so I look at the list today, I'm like, maybe I should start with 1 person or 2 people, or just pick the easy people. And just the fact that I felt that, just the fact that that was one of the reasons meant I had to go and do 5. I had to do a bigger number. I had to go after the harder people. I had to do the people that I thought may say yes, may say no, may make me look bad if they say no. And a lot of it is just head games. The honest truth is, Grant's probably not gonna care. Grant's probably gonna say yes. Like 98% chance he says yes, and he passes it on to somebody on his team. We start working together and we create the collaboration. 1% chance he ignores it, and 1% chance he says no. But it's not the logical, rational things that hold us back. It's the emotional, fearful things. And so what I've trained myself to do is anytime I feel that oh my God, it may not work out, then I have to do it. I have to do it. I have just to show myself, because the worst thing you can do is get to the edge of the cliff and say you're gonna jump and then not jump. It's better not to catch that you're nervous. It's better not to even come up with the idea, to just float around in ignorance. Ignorance is bliss, than to catch it and then play small. And so as soon as you catch it, I've trained myself, I want you to do the same thing. As soon as you catch it, train yourself to do it. Even if it doesn't work out, just training yourself that you don't back down when you are afraid. So I'm gonna give you a 3-step process that you can follow to help you conquer your fears, to help you show up consistently every day. Let's do it. Number 1 is tell yourself that you do scary things. One of the biggest reasons why people don't advance their ideas forward is because it's scary. It's scary. You're afraid. Amazing. That is now no longer an acceptable reason. You do scary things. You love scary things. You embrace scary things. You want to do scary things. This isn't just a mindset trick. It's actually true. You want to do scary things. You do. What's the opposite of scary things? The opposite of scary, if you walk through life and you're never scared of anything, it's not that you're super confident. No, it means that you're living inside your comfort zone. It means you're only doing things that have zero fear, that you have absolute certainty in because you've done it before. You're bored. You're living inside your bubble. And you need to break out, because that means you're photocopying your life every single day. If there's nothing in your calendar that makes you scared, you hate your life. And so pay attention to the language. Pay attention to how you talk to yourself. Pay attention to when you feel afraid. And as long as it's not against your code of ethics or doing something stupid, don't go jump out of an airplane without a parachute because you're afraid, right? Most of the things you're afraid of are not life-threatening. Teach yourself that you do scary things, you love scary things, and you're not allowed to use that as an excuse anymore for not taking action. Number 2 is think, what makes you soar? What is the thing that gets you feeling bold, alive, confident, ready to take action, wanting to show up to life? What is it? I go through 5 S's every morning as part of my morning routine. The first is sing, and then sun, and then soar, and then sweat. and then scare. The most important part is soar though. It's the thing that I do to make me come alive, that makes me want to soar. And so for me, what I do is I think about an entrepreneur that I helped yesterday, and then I pull up my phone and then I record a message. And I share that to my YouTube stories, Instagram stories, Twitter, LinkedIn, I put it everywhere. I need to feel like the work that I do matters. Right now, I'm just talking to a camera. I'm just talking into a camera right now, and later it's gonna be edited and it's gonna be thrown up on YouTube, and lots of people are gonna watch the video. That's crazy. It's hard to imagine because I'm just sitting here in my office talking into a camera. And so I need to remember that the work I do has purpose, that this matters to some people, right? That people rely on my videos every day as a part of their routine. And that helps make me soar. So I wake up just like everybody else. I'm tired. I don't know what time it is. Sometimes, even this morning, I woke up. I didn't even know what day it was. Is it the weekend? I had no idea, right? You wake up. I'm not coming out of the day saying, yeah, my gosh, let's go, right? That's not how anybody wakes up. Nobody. That's not how Grant Cardone wakes up, Evan Carmichael, Tony Robbins, nobody. That's not how we wake up. The difference is the habits that you set on a daily basis to demand that success, to demand that you show up. And so what is the thing that helps make you soar? Maybe it's remembering the impact you want to have. Maybe it's sharing a message to YouTube, to Instagram, to LinkedIn. Maybe it's doing an act of service. Maybe it's meditation. Maybe it's reading. Maybe it's watching these videos. What is it that makes you feel like you want to soar? And then don't randomly hope that it happens. Demand that it's part of your morning routine. Because if you woke up and did the thing to make you soar, to make you feel bold, confident, unstoppable, and you did that every day for the next year, your life will be dramatically different. You will not recognize the person who you used to be. The challenge is you're not consistent in soaring. And so I need you to make that part of your morning routine. And then number 3 is understand what is your Michael Jordan talent? What could you be the greatest in the world at? You could be the greatest of all time at something. You are. But what is that thing? Most people are living way below their potential because they settled. You settled too early. You settled because you were pressured. You settled because you were afraid. You settled because you ran out of time, or at least you felt you did. That's not an acceptable answer anymore. You could be the greatest in the world at something. And if you're procrastinating on something, it's either because you're afraid of the thing, in which case you need to go and do it because you do scary, you do afraid, right? Back to tip number 1. Or 2, you just don't like it. You procrastinate because you don't like it. And if you continue to do work that you don't like, you're never going to be the best because you're going up against people who love it, right? If you're going up to play basketball against Michael Jordan, you better love the game as much as he does, or you're going to lose. If it's just a strategy for you, you're going to lose. And so look at the thing that's in front of you. Look at the thing that you are not showing up for. It's for one of those 3 reasons. Either you're afraid to do it and therefore you must do it. Or 2, you don't have consistent habits, in which case you need to put the thing that makes you soar into your morning routine. Or 3, you just don't actually want to do it. And stop forcing yourself to do it. Go off and find the thing that you have Michael Jordan level talent at.
The fastest way to figure out what to do next is to model success. Model success. Whenever you don't know what to do, model success. What that does is, when you can find somebody who's done the thing that you want to do, right? Like, think about what are your goals? What do you want to accomplish? What do you want to do in life, right? In life, in business, what do you want to do? What do you want to accomplish? Where do you want to go? Find people who've done it. And the key thing is, don't look at what they're doing right now, because that's not going to be very helpful for you. Instead, what we want to do is look at, what did they do when they started? How did they go from 0 to 1? How did they get their thing off the ground? Because it does 2 key things. It gives you hope that it's possible. Whenever you look at your heroes, mentors, people who've done amazing things, we often feel when we look at our goals that it's not possible. Like, has that happened to you? You look at your goals, your big goals, not your little ones, but the big goals, like, that's not possible. I can't do that. Sometimes you feel like you can, and it's inspiring. It's like, yes, I can't wait to do that. And other times it feels like the big goal is too big and you're never going to be able to do that, right? Does that sound familiar? So then when you're able to see people who have done it, it gives you the hope, the motivation, the inspiration that you can do it too. And if you look at their story, you'll see that they probably started with less than what you already have right now. Chances are your heroes, they started with less than what you already have right now. And if they could do it, why can't you? Because of the story that you're telling yourself. And so being around those stories, being around those people, even if it's from books and videos and podcasts, right? Being around that makes you realize, holy cow, this is possible.
The second thing it does is it gives you strategies. It's like, well, what did they do? Not just a motivation to act, but what specifically to do. How did they do it? How did they get started? This is what saved my business. Bill Gates, I like to say he saved my business. I haven't met Bill Gates yet, but he saved my business because I had a software company and I quit on my business partner. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to do next. I was making no money. I'm making $300 a month. I'm struggling. I'm suffering. I'm trying. I'm working hard every day. And I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. Help me, please. I tried everything that I could think of, and nothing seemed to be working. And I was tired of being broke, and tired of being tired, and tired of not having results, and tired of not having success. I was beaten down. I was tired. I had to find a different way. And so I quit on my business partner, which was the worst day of my life. And then I woke up the next day and said, I can't quit yet, because if I do, I'm going to regret it. But I can't keep going the way that I'm going. I have to find a different way to stand. And so I said, you know what? Somebody's figured this out. Somebody's figured this out. Somebody had to figure this out. Who's figured this out? Who's built a software company? And the first person I could think of was Bill Gates and Microsoft. Well, then I spent a ton of time researching and understanding. It's just, I was desperate, I was hopeless, I was lost, and I just thought, Bill Gates, Microsoft. And so I looked at, how did Bill Gates start Microsoft? 0 to 1, right? How did he get started? How somebody who's super successful makes an extra $1 million now, or how I might get an extra 1,000 subscribers now. It's not as relevant, it's not as inspiring, it's not as helpful, because there's a lot of momentum that goes into it already. So, but 0 to 1, how did he get started? And I found out that he did it through partnerships. And he found people who was already targeting his target audience, and he partnered with them. Not partnership in terms of they own a part of Microsoft, but they made a deal together. And so Microsoft's big deal came with IBM, where every IBM was the biggest computer manufacturer at the time. Every IBM computer shipped had Microsoft software on it. IBM had a new computer, they wanted to get it out to the market, they needed some great software for it, an operating system. Microsoft came along and helped them. And so every IBM shipped had Microsoft software on it. Like, wow, that's great. And that blew up the company. That was like their giant momentum moment. But Microsoft was already a $7 million company, I think, when they made that deal. So how did they go from 0 to 7? Well, same thing, partnerships. Their very first partnership came with a company called MITS. They had this device called the Altair, and it was on the cover of a magazine. And Bill Gates and Paul Allen, his business partner, saw it, and they said, if MITS is going to come up with the Altair, they need software for it. Let's write to them and say that we can do the software. And they said, okay, cool, yeah, come on, I'd love to see your software. Now, this is a little maybe sneakier, underhanded. Bill Gates had not written the software for it yet. He didn't even have his hands on one of the MITS Altairs. He's coding it without having a device and without having it ready. And luckily, by the time he gets to them in the meeting, it actually worked, right? So that's a lot of risk, and that's a lot of staking your reputation, I guess, on yourself and your ability, and hoping that it's going to work out. Maybe a little too risky for me, but it was still the concept of partnerships. Who was already targeting my target audience, your target audience? And instead of trying to go after customers one by one, how can you work with somebody who, if they told people about you, it would reach 10 people at a time, or 100 people at a time, or 1,000 people at a time, or 1,000,000 people at a time, right? How could we make that happen? And so I looked to my own business. Like, okay, we sell scientific software. Who else sells scientific, not software, but other products that I can make some kind of partnership with? And the first company that I connected with was in the UK. And I messaged them to say, hey, we've got this company, we've got this software. Do you want to represent us in Europe? And I forget which markets we looked at, but UK and a couple other countries. Do you want to represent us in Europe? Because our software is great, it works, but we the customer support and language differences and time zone differences, would you like to be our partner in the UK? And they said yes. How do we get started? I was nervous, I was sweating, I was trying to figure out, oh my gosh, I got my first potential deal here. I'm how old? I'm 20 at the time-ish. and I say, okay, there's an upfront commitment of $13,500. They had to pay us $13,500. At the time, I'm making $300 a month. So I guess that's kind of my bold statement or my bold commitment, like Bill Gates. So you got to pay me $13,500 up front. And I remember pressing send on the email and sweating, nervous. I don't want to lose this deal. Finally got somebody at the table, and they said yes. They said yes. Crazy. They said yes, and then the money hit our bank account. Like, oh my gosh, $13,500. This is crazy. It doesn't seem like a lot of money now, but man, I felt like I won the lottery. I felt rich. And more important than just the money was that something worked, momentum, finally, like something, anything was actually having an impact. It's crazy. And I had a strategy that I could apply. I could go after other companies, and that's what I did. And I closed more and more and more deals, more of these partnership deals, all based off of Bill Gates' strategy, right? So again, I haven't met Bill Gates. I haven't told him this story yet, but the way that he built Microsoft became an inspiration for me to build my company, at least in the early days. And it got our company off the ground and starting to get some results. And so whenever you don't know what to do, you model success. You find the person who's done the thing. It gives you hope. It gives you inspiration. And it also gives you specific strategies. Now, it may not fit 100%, right? I had to research Bill Gates. I had to see how he got started. I had to see his first deals. And my deal wasn't exactly the same deal that he signed, but it's close enough. And all I really needed was the idea, was a strategy to get started. And it saved my company. It saved my business. I mean, I don't know. If I didn't do that, I might have some job right now that I hate. Honestly, like I just quit on my business partner. I was afraid I was going to live in the regret of not knowing. And I was just lost, guys. I was just lost. But I knew that if I stopped now, that I would look back on that moment and say, what if I just kept going? And if I didn't find that strategy, I don't know what I would have done. Honestly, I probably had some job that I hate. It's crazy how these little shifts, little moments can make such a giant difference in your life. And so hopefully this video can help inspire a little moment for you. So if you surround yourself with your heroes, you look at the people who are doing the thing that you want to do, and be around them more and study their success, it gives you the hope and the motivation that it's possible. And hopefully it also gives you the specific strategies on what you can do so you can accomplish your goals as well. The fastest way to build your business, to get the right ideas to grow, is to model success.
Let's go here. YouTube is an education platform. Like I think a lot of people think of it as entertainment and fun and movies and music, cool. But YouTube is the number one education platform. So, people are trying to figure out how to become a more influential leader. Where are they going to go? They're going to go to the library. Like, who are they going to talk to? They're going to talk to their mom. Like, they're going to go and search, and your stuff will pop up, and not just your videos, but against other people's videos. There's content that people are going there to learn. And so YouTube is different than every other platform, where we want to be making long form content, teaching people, because ahead of whatever we're trying to sell, we want to put information. We want to put education. Okay. We're teaching people at scale to then bring them into whatever the thing is that we're selling: coaching, products, programs, services, books, etc. And the beauty of something like YouTube is, one, your content lives forever. So the videos you make now, in a year and 2 years and 6 years, are still getting you views, subscribers, attention, leads, etc. Where every other platform, it goes away, right? Like Instagram, nobody cares what you posted a week ago. It's instant. It's Instagram. It's gone. Every other platform's the same. YouTube has the best monetization, so they'll pay you, right? Like you could be making 7 figures just from the ad revenue on your videos, as well as actually building your business. And the best part about YouTube is you can take the content, since it's long form, and splice it up to put on all the other platforms. So YouTube will tell you the best moments in every video according to what the audience cared about. Those little highlight moments, you can then tweak and put them to Twitter and Instagram and Facebook and all the other platforms. So all you really have to do is have a regular show, long form on YouTube. And now we're creating content everywhere. Most of the people listening, watching, your goal is not to be a full-time just content creator. You got a business that you're trying to run. We're trying to build our membership groups and our coaching services and be a speaker and all of that stuff. And so you don't have time to all day, every day be on every single platform. You don't have to be. Long form from YouTube, take the data, cut it up to be on every platform. So it kind of sits above all the other social media platforms. And most importantly, to helping people's message get out to change the world.
Hard work is your ticket in. Hard work doesn't guarantee your success, but it's your ticket in. There's nobody who you look up to, who you respect, who you want to be like, who did not work incredibly hard to get to where they're at. Now, people say, work smart, work smart, work. Yes, there's lots of people who work hard and never get anywhere close to their goals. There's lots of people who work incredibly hard who stay earning minimum wage their entire life because they didn't work smart, they were only working hard. But there's nobody who just works smart and doesn't work hard, even if they're fooling you with their pictures on Instagram. It's that combination of working hard plus working smart. I've covered most of these people. I've hung out with a lot of these people. I see the incredible smarts that they have in the activities that they choose, but also just the work ethic they have, the show up every day and stay consistent on their goals. So in this video, I'm gonna try to give you some tips and steps on how to actually do it. Like, how do you stay consistent? How do you figure out how to work hard, but also work smart on accomplishing your mission? So let's get it started. First off, you have to actually love the thing, right? I mean, how many times have you started a business because you thought it was gonna make you a lot of money? Be honest, I've done it too. You start a business because you think it's gonna make you money, and then you quickly get bored of it. You quickly realize it's not making you money, and you don't want to do it anymore. And you close it down and move on to the next thing. And so many people are just opportunity hopping, jump to the next thing and the next thing and the next thing and the next thing and the next thing without ever actually loving any of the things. And so you never actually win. You might make a little bit of money here and there. You know, you might be able to pay some of your bills off, it's great, but you're not living the life that you want because you're just opportunity hopping instead of actually finding the thing that you love doing. Where the number one rule for success, if you watch any of my videos, we've covered so many people, take my word for it or go do your own research. The number one rule for success is that you have to love what you're doing. You have to love the process, the actual work that you're doing. It doesn't feel like work because you like it so much. Making videos doesn't feel like work because I like it, because I like the process. I like making it, I like making this video more than getting something like this, right? It's great. Hey, 1 million subscribers, awesome. Or the other channel's great. But I like the feeling of making this video and knowing that you right now are watching it. That means something to me. I like it. That's why I keep going. Otherwise it's crazy, you know? 10,000 videos plus later, why? Like, how do you keep going? Because I like it. It doesn't feel like work to me. I talk about it when I do interviews. You know, people ask me, how have you not burnt out already? Like, so many people are burning out on YouTube. Well, it's not just YouTube, it's entrepreneurship. People burn out of entrepreneurship, not just having a YouTube channel. Why do you burn out of entrepreneurship? Well, because you stop actually liking, there's too much of the work that you're doing that you don't like anymore. Right? There's too much of the work that you're doing. You might still love the vision for where you're going. If you don't love the vision, you got to get out ASAP. But you might still love the vision, but you're just taking on too much activity that you don't like doing anymore. So when I'm talking to somebody on their podcast, I like doing interviews. It makes me happy. It brings me joy to try to hit somebody else's audience, right? To try to spread belief to an even wider net. And so if I'm talking to somebody, I say, well, is this work for you? Because in talking to you, this doesn't work for me. This is fun. I'm gonna leave this interview with more energy than I came in. That's a sign that you're doing the right thing. So I like this, thank you. You're giving me, you know, I'm giving you content and exposure for your channel, but you're giving me a gift because this is fun. You're giving me more energy. It doesn't feel like work. The second it starts to feel like work, you have to adjust, and it might be a big adjustment. Maybe you shouldn't be doing your business anymore, period, because you were just opportunity hopping, you don't actually love the thing. Or maybe you just need to make a minor adjustment and realize, okay, this makes sense as a strategy, but it's just not the right strategy for me. I need to move on and do something else. Even though it works for some other people, it's not me. I don't want to do it. So that's where we start transitioning to working smart, right? So working hard is you showing up every day, working towards your goals, that your purpose means something to you, and that the work you do, you actually enjoy and having fun in. The working smart is then figuring out there's so many different ways to win inside your industry. There's so many different ways to win. There's so many people who have one, and there's not just one path. This is where we get locked up, is feeling like I have to do it this way, but you don't actually love doing it that way. And the second you start taking things on because you think it's the smart thing to do, but you have no interest in doing it, you will never win. You will never win doing work that you hate. It's not gonna happen. You will never win doing work that you hate. You'll say that you'll do whatever it takes, you won't. You'll quit, you'll give up on it because you don't like it. Chasing the goal alone is not enough. You have to actually enjoy the process of getting to the goal, that the process becomes more important than the goal. It gives you more satisfaction and happiness and pleasure than hitting the goal. How many times have you hit a goal and then been disappointed after, right? You're like, oh, what's next? Sometimes borderline depression, right? Ted Turner's dad had a goal to hit $1 million. He did it, and then he killed himself because he thought things were gonna change, but he realized his life was still the same. So having goals are really good and important, but more important than the goal is the process of accomplishing the goal. You have to actually like the work. So how do you be smart? Well, you have to do things that bring value to people that you also enjoy. So in the course of my career, on YouTube at least, I've got a bunch of great compliments. The two that stand out in this context are Gary Vee and Ed Milet, where Gary Vee said, I'm the content DJ that inspires people. He said, hey, you watch so many videos and then DJ it to inspire people. And Ed Milet said that I'm the modern day Napoleon Hill, that Napoleon Hill is the greatest person in personal development history, and that I'm the modern day Napoleon Hill. Now, when they both said that, like, I don't know, I'm still working on receiving compliments, so I was kind of blown away by both of them. And then I asked, hey, well, can I use that in my in my bio or my profiles? But what I do is I love modeling success. You know, it's why I make all this content. It's why I have all these people, you know, behind me on the wall. You know, we got Steve Jobs and A.P. Giannini and my parents and Howard Schultz and Kanye West. Like, I love modeling success. And I want to share my own voice, my own thoughts, my own opinions, my own learnings, my own stories, my own lessons. And somewhere in that mix is now Evan Carmichael. Where some people are, if you look at Gary or Ed or whoever else, they're just sharing their own thoughts for the most part. They might have guests on at interviews. They might occasionally have a quote from somebody else, but it's their own views and opinions. I never needed to be the guy. You know, I like sharing other people's stuff. I like sharing what I learned from their story. And I've reluctantly kind of stepped forward to share my own. I used to think nobody would care about my story or what I had to say, or why would you care about me when I'm showcasing Elon Musk? Like, who am I? But people kept asking for my story, where I came from. So I started sharing it more. And so in that mix became Evan Carmichael. That's how I'm different than everybody else. Same thing for you. You know, what do you love doing that then can also bring value to other people? And what combinations of things can you bring together instead of thinking I can do this or I can do this? In the mix is your next great opportunity. When you can take 2 or 3 of your interests and not do them as the or, right? Instead of thinking or, you think and. Instead of or, you think and. But not 3 different businesses. This is where people get tripped up. It's not 3 different businesses. It's one business that does all 3 of those things combined in a way that nobody else has done it before. Because nobody can replicate that. The thing that you love doing, or the things that you love doing, smushed together that don't make sense for anybody else, is how you're gonna end up winning. That's how you're gonna win. James Altucher calls it idea sex. So you have one idea and another idea, and they have sex, and then out comes your great idea. I like it. That's how you start working smart. So working hard is your ticket in. Working hard, if you're not willing to work hard, you're just not ever gonna win, period. How do you work hard? Well, you actually have to like the work so it doesn't feel like work. That Jerry Seinfeld calls it the torture you can endure, that it's torture for other people, but for you, he's like, I like this is fun, this doesn't feel like torture. You know, the idea of making 10,000 videos, 12,000 videos, whatever, that would be torture for a lot of people. It's like, okay, that's cool, I like it. Let's go, let's make another 10,000. Let's keep going. And then inside of that is, what do you love doing that can bring value to other people in a way that only you can do it? By mixing some of the things, your passions, your interests together that have never been mixed before together in that unique way, that's how you're gonna win. Instead of saying that that's not practical, instead of saying that they're 2 different businesses, instead of saying nobody's gonna care, no, that's how you're gonna win. You mix those things together
focus on then how you can use that mix to bring value to your customers. And now nobody can touch you. For people who say, people message me and say, hey Evan, this person is copying you. This person is also doing top 10 rules for success. This person is like, I don't care. Like I spend zero time thinking about that, because if you are just trying to be Evan Carmichael, you're never gonna be Evan Carmichael, right? The most you're gonna be is an Evan Carmichael Jr. Instead of trying to be an Elvis impersonator, go make your own music, right? So anybody who's just trying to copy me, I don't care about it. It's the people who are creating new, innovative things that I consider to be the real competition. Hard work is your ticket in. You have to love what you're doing. That allows you to keep going. Then you have to figure out inside of what you love, how can you combine your interests, your passions, your special things that make you a special, unique snowflake to bring value to people. And when you figure that out, that's the unique angle of working hard plus working smart. That won't even feel like you're working hard or even working that smart. You're just doing you and helping people. And that's how you win.
Because you made it this far in a video, I want to celebrate you. Most people start and don't finish. Most people never actually follow through. Most people say they want something, but they don't ever do the work to actually get it. But you're different. You are special. Believe Nation, you made it here all the way to the end, and I love you. So as a special celebration, if you put a hashtag Believe down in the comments below on this video, I will showcase you and celebrate you somewhere on the screen in a future video, because you are awesome.
For 10 more amazing rules from Gary Vaynerchuk, check the video right there next to me. I think you'll love it. Continue to believe, and I'll see you there.
When I fail, I have the enjoyment of leaning into my addiction of humility, and I love that I've learned and I don't have to make those same pattern mistakes in the future, so I double win.